tell me, show me, and I'm just like, I don't know. Thank you. I've never had
Have you eaten
a small little sliver of hash browns from
Chick-fil-A?
I didn't know.
As long as you've eaten, you can take 3.
I don't get what was 500.
Oh, I didn't know that they did. Listen, I thought it was on sale.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll
Yeah,
take
my husband
it.
is frugal bread.
Good. Yeah.
How many do there for?
200.
Oh, that's why I said you can take 3.
I carry 500.
Sorry, you might be a big man.
No, no. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
Well, I was actually starting to talk to them about May 16th after school, because it's the last cap day. Well, for us, I understand we're so the old armor. We're end of year. If you want to come.
Wait, what?
Oh,
Wait.
Armor is a brewery at the Canal Blue.
On the 16th?
Yeah. At the end of
Okay.
school.
Okay. You need to celebrate.
Yeah.
It's near where prom was.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I'm
It's
still
really our
learning.
ballpark.
I'm still learning Concord. Okay.
It's a good time.
Okay.
We had
They
that
only
retirement.
sell beer?
There's some wine.
So you're trained for EOCs just in case
Yes,
something goes
ma'am.
sideways here?
Yes, ma'am.
And Gail gave her goodbye speech. Did y'all say, were we
Oh,
still
I
on line for
definitely
that?
wasn't online for that.
Yeah.
Cause he just told me.
So Gail is leaving?
Yeah,
She's going to the FBI.
she's going to FBI. Let her and her husband. Let.
Oh, whoops.
You recording us?
Go for it.
Tanea, are you going to be able to succeed going to early college? Won't you miss your middle school friends? What about the regular high school experience? Won't you miss it? What if you don't fit in? Are you scared? These are not all but some of the thoughts I had before coming to Cabarrus Tech. The real question was, whom are you doing this for? Throughout my entire 18 years of living, I strived to do what others wanted me to do. Going to this school made my family feel entitled, but how did it make me feel? Would I have felt smart? Would I have felt superior to my middle school peers? How would I feel? Me, Tanea Alexandria Way. Well, I didn't figure that out until I put my fear in my pocket and I stepped out of my comfort zone. The very first lesson I learned out of many coming to Cabarrus Tech was the statement my grandmother used to tell me was 100% correct. I can do anything I put my mind to. I applied to Cabarrus Tech because I put my mind to it. I knew that it would be a challenge, but what is life worth living if you don't step out of your comfort zone? Let's step into my first few years of attending this school. Let's talk about the embarrassment I am about to tell you all. Don't be alarmed. We all make mistakes. We live and we learn. That's life. Laziness during my freshman year was a huge mistake. Did I mention I was living for the pleasure of others? Well, I made friends outside of school. They were such bad influences, and you might as well have called me one because I followed. Slowly but very quickly, I saw the effects of these bad mistakes. Not only did my confidence drop more than it was, but the identity crisis I had was astounding. My grades were not up to my standards, but what could I say? I caused it myself, and I knew that I would need to fix it. My sophomore year, I started out strong, but those habits I created freshman year lingered. I didn't know how I would be able to escape that lifestyle. Well, there's a word called dedication, and let me tell you, I became the living definition for myself. I lost many friends, cried many nights, studied until the lights went out. If you want me to continue, it'd be my pleasure. Being a mother to my little brother, maintaining a job, trying to find myself all while maintaining school, all the time I didn't know what being resilient meant, but throughout those obstacles, I surely found out. Now, I want you all to close your eyes and think of your goals. Imagine you are achieving everything you have in mind. Now, imagine a worldwide disease ruining that. Yep, you guessed it. COVID-19. Let me just say, COVID helped me and it ruined me. You remember those habits I had freshman year? Guess what? I adopted them once again. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but it happened. What I say, we make mistakes. Bear with me. I said COVID helped me. Just listen. I got out of my toxic work environment a few days before turning 16, and guess what? Now I've been working at Walmart for 2 years. Now, yes, this was a huge accomplishment, but not when you don't speak up. I was an early college student working 30 hours a week to fund a car, a home, and myself. If I didn't do it, no one else would. I'm guessing you want to know how my mental health was. Well, let's just say from a scale of 1 to 10, it was a solid 2.5. One small piece of advice of many I would give would be not to work too hard. Do what makes you happy, and if succeeding is that, then don't overwork yourself. Now, let's get a little off topic. Do you all know Miss Erykah Badu? Please tell me you do. Well, if you don't, it's okay, but she helped me find myself in many ways. Working out of my home became tiring because I would do nothing but sleep and eat. So I went to my local parks and I would always do my schoolwork. This might sound crazy, but nature helped me in many ways. I not only got my grades somewhat up to my standards, but my confidence grew. Do you guys know the meaning of butterflies? Well, they are very beautiful to the human eye, but did you know that they didn't know that about themselves? Well, this was me, but listening to Ms. Badu and being in nature helped me to get into my element. This is another piece of advice I would give you all. Find your happy place. Learn you. Coming to Cabarrus Tech, I had no idea I would learn myself. I didn't think this would be a part of many lessons I'd learned. I slowly began to believe in myself. It's crazy, but it's true. I told you I had a lot of advice. Bear with me once again, but please believe in you. Sometimes you may be the only person who does. Now, let's get into let's talk about the present day. Your girl is in therapy, y'all. Yes, therapy. No, nothing is wrong, but having someone to talk to is such a help. Now, I am not telling you to go get a therapist, because one thing I learned about CabTech was that this is a home. Everyone here is not only a helping hand, but also an open ear. This school taught me that I did not need to be ashamed of talking. Anywhere from asking questions to being myself to having conversations. Yes, that was me. As Miss Grayson, I talked that woman's ear off. All jokes aside, I want everyone to find themselves, put your mental health first, step out of your comfort zone, ask questions, and believe in yourself. If you don't do it for anyone else, do it for yourself. Remember those mistakes I mentioned in the beginning? Yes, don't be a follower, be you, and do it unapologetically. I need to bring this to a close because I don't want to talk your ears off, but I hope you all take this speech and let it consume you. Enjoy life. You only have one. Remember that.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm studying.
Awesome. You set the bar for the day. That's good.
Really?
Well,
Well,
you're
that
the first
was
one.
awesome.
So yeah, it's good to start on my good one.
Thank you.
Awesome.
When is it, I wanted to be here for the, I'm gonna do my homework and be here for the next week.
Tech. When I started here at 13 years old and a stick of a person, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I mean, sure, I had friends from middle school I saw every day, and I spent lunch reading 400-page books for fun. At the very least, I figured the workload would be pretty hefty because we are the early college, right? Best of the best. However, I was not prepared for the overwhelming sense of community and togetherness that formed during my first semester and has lasted since. You may hear some stories about the LCs and the shenanigans we got to, LC3, reigning champ of superiority. But I found myself genuinely surprised by the bonds we formed so early on. COVID-19 brought some unwelcome changes, but I am extremely glad for the opportunities that we were given during that time and the things that it taught us while we were away. So today, I hope to impart some of that knowledge to y'all. This brings me to my first lesson, the big bad P word, procrastination. I know some of you might be thinking, oh great, another lecture about procrastination now, it never helps you in life. But that's not necessarily what I want to say here. I was and still am a hardcore procrastinator, like dedicated to the craft, my ride or die. But it wasn't always like this. I feel like a lot of us start off the school year fairly organized and structured. We're turning in assignments in a timely manner, and the planner is written in consistently. Then, as we become more comfortable in our environment with teachers and forming friendships, we start to slip. And it's not as if we're actively deciding not to do the work. It's just, oops, buddy, that paper is due tomorrow. Did you even start it? And then we're up at 1:47 in the morning attacking the keyboard like it had personally offended us. And it did. The nerve. But it was all worth it, right? The fulfilling sense of satisfaction spreading through you. But what about when you were stressed a few hours ago and you thought your brain was about to combust? Not so great then, huh? To that I say, find a balance. Dumb, right? It really isn't. And I'm gonna say this right here, right now, it does not get easier, but it does help if you find what works for you. This will differ from person to person. Do not let procrastination work you to the bone until you are stressed out and that keyboard is begging for a timeout. Instead, observe what works best for you. For example, I learned that I work best at night when doing a paper, but for bigger projects or assignments, I require daylight and a larger space than my bed can provide. Sometimes it does help to have a routine or a schedule to follow. Only sometimes though, because otherwise that routine becomes like that planner 2 months into the school year. Now, this is not to say that you should never procrastinate, because some of my best work was a result of procrastination. But that stress truly is not worth it all the time. Next, ask for help. Ask for help. Start building up your support system. It does not matter who that includes, your friend group, your teachers, your therapists, parents. I promise you right here, right now, it's okay to ask for help. When your teachers and your professors tell you that they want you to go to them if you have any questions or concerns, they mean it. It can be scary and honestly incredibly awkward, but it's worth it. Always make sure that you have someone that you can rely on. Life is hard. People can go through some difficult times, but you don't have to go through it alone. Support systems are there to help you, to make sure that you're all right, and to get you back on your feet. Do not be afraid to remove the toxic people from your life. There will be times where you feel like your best is not enough and you're just barely hanging on. But let me say this, I am proud of you. You got up today, even though you probably didn't want to. You made it to school, you interacted with others, maybe even saw actual sunshine today. And that can be really hard some days, so I'm really proud of you. The last lesson I have for you is to be yourself and to go after what you want. You are important. You are worth time, you are worth money, you are worth space. You may not have any idea what you want from life or who you may become, but that's okay because you do not owe anything to anyone who says otherwise. Take your time to figure out what matters to you and who you are. When you figure it out, hold fast and do not let go. The human brain does not finish developing until our early to mid-20s, yet we're expected to make life decisions that will affect us for the rest of our lives in the middle of that development. The people, times, places, and situations can change at any time, but if you stay true to who you are and what you believe, what more can the world ask of you?
Before I go, I want to tell you a short story of resiliency. I am 17 years old and I have a chronic illness. When I was 11, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And before you ask, no, it is not terminal. I am not dying from it. Chronic means that this illness can be treated but not cured. I'm stuck with this sucker for life. And that was a life commitment I was not ready for. Life became a roller coaster for me at that point, going in and out of doctor's offices and trying to finish the 7th grade at the same time while in excruciating amounts of pain. After that first year, we finally got a handle on it and treatment was progressing. While in remission, I finished middle school, got into CabTech, I was living my best life. And then I had a flare-up halfway through my first year of high school, and it was 7th grade all over again. I was so tired of having to go through all this pain. Why me? That was the big question, right? Well, like I mentioned earlier, you're not alone. And I had not realized it then, but I had built up a pretty good support system of people who cared about me and took the time to help me when I needed it most. Communicate. Talk to your teachers because most of them are willing to help, but they can only help if they know that something is wrong. I finished my freshman year pretty strongly, thanks to them, and it's been about 4 years since my last flare-up. I could have another at any time, and it'll pop up like surprise, and that in itself is a scary thought. But honestly, I feel more prepared than ever to handle it. I ask that you do not forget to take some time for yourself as well. Be nice to yourself and take a break. Apparently, telling people that your eye bags are Gucci is decidedly not funny. So drink the clear stuff that's supposedly good for you, to partake in the daily rituals that we call eating, and get some sleep. You deserve it. I cannot force you to do everything I said. You are your own person, and you will make your own decisions in the long run. But I do hope that at least something I said here today resonated with you, and that I hope to be that kind of support for someone who may need it someday. I leave you with this vine. An avocado. Thanks. Because sometimes all you can do is say thank you and move on. Thank you for your time.
So, I remember my days here as a freshman, and I remember my first LC, I only recognized one person in my rotation class who had previously went to my middle school. And I didn't really recognize that many people, but I did recognize people from Camp Discovery, so that was nice. I also remember on that day that people compared me to my sister, because we both looked the same. It was really funny. Those were the good days. Like, I sound old, I know. For the next 4 years, I had high expectations and high hopes. But to be honest, things didn't really go my way. They didn't go as expected. Things got really complicated. A lot of unexpected things, like that one event that we all know happened. And today, I just want to discuss certain things to have in your mindset, and rather than certain practices that we all know, that we all know to do, rather than that we don't really do them anyways. So first, I want to say that there's sometimes there's just things you can't avoid. Like life just smacks you right in the face. You can't really do anything about it, and that's just how it is. And I'm sure many of you can think of different fears that come across your mind as this happens. For example, one of my greatest fears was me failing a class. Now, it's a very typical fear of mine, and I try to work hard to not let that happen. But then, first semester of my senior year, bang, I failed my first class. It was calculus. And it really hurt. And yeah, so yeah, it really brought me down. It brought my self-esteem down, things like that. But I kind of learned something from that, because you can't focus on your fears, or else you won't have a good 4 years, because you'll only be focusing on those things. So you need to accept that these fears will come, or that they might come, rather than cowering in fear from its inevitable grasp. And even if it does come, you have to focus on how you can rise rather than how you fell. So what did I do after I failed my class? So basically, I was given the opportunity to do 2 mini master classes. Basically, it's like 2 classes within one semester. They're broken up in halfway. So I was taking 5 classes this semester. And it wasn't too bad, but I really tried to work hard to ace those classes to make up for the lost credits. And it's working, and I think I'll be fine. And despite my failure, I learned that, you'll overcome these things. You have to overcome them, over your fears, and you can't dwell on it, or else it'll just bother you. And you have to learn to grow from it. Persistence is key, despite how many failures you have. And as I mentioned earlier, I tried my best to be one of the top students to ace my classes, and sometimes it didn't feel good enough. Like, for example, I would always compare my results to someone else's. Like, if someone got a 100 on their test, even if I got an A, I would always tell myself that I'll never be as good as them. And this is just the wrong mindset. And they didn't do anything wrong, and I didn't want to envy them. But if this really brings your self-esteem down and your confidence, it didn't really help that my parents pressured me either. Because one of them, I remember at an awards show, they compared to my awards to how many someone else has gotten. For example, like they would say these tiny comments like, oh, you should have gotten more awards, or you should have been as good as them. That I should be deemed as good as someone else. And you really shouldn't compare yourself to other people. it will prevent you from doing anything. And it'll prevent you from achieving your goals because you'll be too afraid to not try them. You have to have a more optimistic mindset, a more innovative mindset, if you will. For example, let's take that test example from earlier. Say that instead of instantly calling yourself a failure, which you might, but you need to say, oh, I need to work on this, and I need to try to get as high as them. That way, you'll be improving yourself rather than bringing yourself down. And this is very important in high school because people do this a lot. And if you don't do this, then you'll instantly be in a loop of dissatisfaction, like I was. You don't want that to happen. And lastly, I want to focus on, you need to focus on what you want to do, not anyone else. Because if you don't, then you won't really know what you want to do here. Like, you need to focus on your interest. So, for me, I was slightly pressured into going into the medical field. And at this time, I didn't really know better. So, I just went along with it. But you should really not focus on what someone else wants you to do. And I really focused on this path mainly for the money, but my interest grew in that position because my parents were getting ill. And as I grew older, they kept developing more health issues. And I really wanted to help them. But also as I grew older, I grew more interests. So art has always been an interest of mine, and seeing someone express their creativity in a unique way really fascinated me. So I was basically torn between a career in art and a career in medicine. And to be honest, I still haven't decided, but that's okay. But you need to focus on what you guys want to do. If you're pressured, then that's okay, but just focus on what you want to do. And if you're undecided, then that's okay too. You need to explore different things around the world. I mean, during these modern times, you see many people making a living off of different things, like, for example, YouTube. People make a living off of it, making videos, different kinds of videos. And yeah, there's anything that's possible, to be honest, with new innovations and technology nowadays. So you need to go find yourself. But you can't remain undecided forever. And writing this and sharing this lecture, it's been weird, but it's been somewhat relieving. Like I was confessing something, like a crime, but I didn't do anything bad, by the way. But sharing my regrets, some of my fears, it is relieving. And I hope as you guys grow older that you'll reflect on your past experiences and see what you've done, like what you need to improve on, what you have achieved, and yeah. And hopefully you guys will enjoy yourselves here. But you know something I did want to mention is a fear of regret of mine. That was another fear of mine. I still have it. And I was always scared that I would regret everything I do. But let me tell you, joining the school was not a regret. Everyone here is fantastic. And there are great opportunities here, especially with getting your associate's degree so early. And despite COVID and despite all the hardships you may have, there's honestly a lot to like about this place. So, what's not to love? maybe the homework. Alright, done.
Okay.
Hello. It's a nice day today. It's pretty sunny outside. You know what I like to do on a nice day? I like to ride my bike outside, you know. I like to, like, you know, go to the park. I ride in the neighborhood, like neighborhoods around mine. It's pretty fun, you know. And I like seeing people out riding their bike because it's nice seeing people enjoy something that you enjoy doing. And there are some people out there that don't enjoy doing what you like doing. And there are a lot of people I've heard that don't like people riding their bikes, or like cyclists. You know, I have to ride a pretty good distance to the park on the road. And so I've encountered a few people that don't like people riding their bikes. And when you do this a lot, it's like sometimes you can feel judged, or I don't know, like unconfident, right? And so I've been doing this for a long time. I've learned to push past it. And you know, like if you're ever feeling judged, just remember that you're doing something that you enjoy. And that's what really matters. And that's something that like I take to heart. I make sure that I remember that whenever I feel judged. Another thing I've learned is like patience is important. Like this applies to like everything in your life, but it's important to have patience. I've had a lot of times in my life where I've had to be patient, whether it's, you know, getting a car, or times where I'm riding my bike, or other things like just having money and being able to do things. Is it supposed to do that?
Move the mic around.
Okay. So, about a year ago, I broke my collarbone riding my bike. And it was a real bummer not being able to ride my bike or being able to do much at all for like 3 or 4 months. Like, it was really unfortunate. Could barely like do normal things. It was my left, so it wasn't that bad, but it was an experience. And at first, I regretted not being more careful. I didn't think I was doing anything that was outside of my ability. It just kind of happened. But I regret not being careful anyway and not taking the time to think about what I was doing. But over time, I got over my regret. I tried to figure out what was or why it happened and learn my lesson from my mistakes. And I was patient with my recovery. I made sure to be extra careful after the 3 or 4 months that I was recovering to get back on my bike. And I started out slow, regaining my balance, that kind of thing. And now I'm basically just like where I was before, but I've learned an important lesson: to be patient, not rush things, and know where you're going. This leads me to my next point, is like, you shouldn't regret things in the past. I try not to regret things, you know, even though you might do something bad, or make a bad decision or a bad choice, or, you know, something happens that you didn't want to happen, and it really bothers you. If it happened in the past, it's gonna stay in the past, and I don't think there's really, there's nothing that you can really do to change it. Unless there is something you can do to change it, then you should probably change it. But usually, regret makes you learn your lesson. It's supposed to make you make sure that you never do whatever happened again, or make sure that whatever happened doesn't happen again. But thinking about it too much just distracts you. It confuses you. It makes you angry, and we don't like doing that. I don't like doing that. And so, breaking my collarbone made me regret and made me question my abilities, and distracted me from what I wanted to do. and distracting me from getting back to what I wanted to do. Because no one likes doing something that they don't like to do, you know? The best solution to this kind of thing is to just move forward, learn the lessons from any mistakes that you made, and just accept the fact that you can't change whatever happened. I can't change the fact that I broke my collarbone. I can't change the fact that I lost a few months off the bike from a small, stupid mistake. But I got over it, and that's the important part. My hope for you guys is that you embrace who you are, and you don't let anything come between what you want to do or the life you want to live. Because I spent a lot of my time just following whatever people told me, doing things I didn't like to do, regretting that I didn't do what I wanted to do. And I feel like I lost a lot of time with that. And you guys are in a position where you still have that time. You still have time to be young. I sound old. Dang, that's crazy. But just do things you enjoy. And if you find out that you don't enjoy them later, don't regret it, because it's good that you tried it. Trying new things helps you become a better person. It makes you not boring. I don't like being boring. Most people don't like boring people. So even if you do something that doesn't really work out, it's nice that you tried it in the first place. Something I tried to learn the guitar because I thought it was cool. I still think it's cool, but turns out, I'm not that good at learning guitar. I don't put that much time into it. But I'm glad I tried it. I'm glad I put the time into it because it helps me understand the kind of music that has guitar in it. And I like doing it. I think I want to try it some more, but I have to find the time to do it. Learning new things and challenging yourself makes you a better person. Like, it changes how you think about things. You might not think it does, but it does. And even if you don't get to be the best at anything, you still tried it. It still counts. You don't have to be the best at anything because it's the experience that matters. That sounds kind of cheesy, but it is what it is. And I think the experiences that I've done made me a better person, and I think the experiences that you try will make you a better person. And the things you do at this school will make you a better person, will definitely make you a better person. And you'll enjoy the experiences that you've had as long as you try them. Thank you.